Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Marketing. My name is Kevin and my amazing, crazy co-host. I'm going to find new adjectives to share with you. Björn Salsone. How are you, Björn?
Hello and good afternoon. I'm so excited. I feel like I'm double parking because I have 2 drinks, but it's both legal. I can drink and drive with these. One's sparkling water and the other one is Herbalife tea. It's like an energy tea. It's incredible. And yes, I do need it sometimes. How are you, Kevin?
I'm well. I'm not driving anywhere, so I'm like, since it's literally lunchtime. Cheers.
Cool. Salute. Fantastic. Welcome.
Today we have an interesting guest. I mean, it's coincidental that we, International Men's Day. 9th of November. But I'm when I first heard about this guest, I was like, okay, well, that's going to be a really interesting conversation. Don't you want to introduce us and tell everybody who's joining us today?
Absolutely. So he's a friend of mine and I met him many years ago, and his name is Torsten, and yes, it's German. He grew up in Namibia, and he did I call it the usual stuff. He was a teacher, was a graphic designer. He toured through 50 countries. I mean, all the usual stuff, right? As one does. I mean, Kevin, when last did you say you did like 50 countries on all different continents? Crazy. But the thing that makes Torsten stand out, other than the fact that he's a male and today is International Men's Day, is the fact that he runs an organization called Love Your Nuts. And I mean, obviously with currently with the fact that we are focusing on men that have really survived cancer. I mean, last week, we had Dr. Carl, so that was amazing. But this week, we're dealing with someone, and let me give you a little bit of his story. He says he's the founder of Love Your Nuts, which is because he was diagnosed with cancer in 1995. And this is while he was educating youngsters about sex education at schools. As his journeys evolved, he eventually wrote a book. And one of the people that said when his book was published internationally in 2011 and then was translated and published in 2004, which is in German. He said this: someone said he has one he lives and he loves. He's showing everybody how valuable they are and how fantastic life can be. And I'm so excited to have you on the show. Welcome, Torsten. How are you today?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm fantastical. So all good.
I love that word, fantastical. I have heard that word before, and the first time I was like, what did he say? And then I got it. Testicle, fantastical.
Fantastical, yeah.
I love it.
So, I mean, to kick it off today, Torsten, don't you want to tell us more about you and sort of give us a bit of history about, how this brand evolved and came about, and a bit about your story and where you're from and how this evolved, and, just share some insights with everyone.
Yeah. I'm born and raised in Namibia, grew up there on a cattle farm, became a teacher. I studied German and biology, and working at the German school in Windhoek. I had to teach the grade 5s sex education, so I bought a children's book in Germany that I taught on their level. And there was a chapter on all the diseases and a little paragraph that said testicular cancer is most common between 15 and 40. So I was lying in bed in the evening reading this children's book to pick up the right words to talk to them the next morning. So reading this, I checked and I felt a little lump, not bigger than the tip of my finger. No pain, nothing, and I was not sure, was it always there? And then typical male, we don't go immediately to the doctor because we will find 1,000 excuses not to go. And 14 days later, I decided I have to go because I couldn't get rid of that thought, and it was cancer. So I read it in a children's book, and that was in 1995 when I was 30.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, well, if it hits you with 30, because you think you're young and you've got many years to live, and suddenly you have to go for chemotherapy and things like this. So when I had chemotherapy, there was a 12-year-old who had testicular cancer as well. So after my treatment, when I was back at school, I thought all these boys that pass me on the passage every day, on the corridors, they all love their nuts because that's what women do, but they don't know that they should check once a month. So every year when I got a new class group, I used one lesson in biology to tell them what happened to me. And because girls were sitting in class, I always say to them, no books out today, so we're going to talk boobs and balls today. And I mentioned that to break the ice, and I said to them, both these cancers, breast cancer and testicular cancer, is self-examination. You don't have to go to the doctor to get examined. Both these cancers, you search for lumps, and both these cancers, if you detect them early, then you've got a good chance to survive. And then I just shared my story with them. And then I stopped teaching 2005. Traveled a year again, and when I returned to Namibia after that year, a former student invited me for coffee, and he said to me, because you made us aware, I went to the doctor in time. I'm 16, I've got testicular cancer, and you saved my life. And that is actually the reason I've started Love Your Nuts. It's actually, I realized because I'm open about what happened to me, I actually save lives.
Wow.
Yeah, I left teaching. I loved teaching and I enjoyed the kids, but I couldn't see myself another 25 years doing that.
Yeah.
So I taught myself all the graphic design programs, and then 2007 moved to Cape Town, started working as a graphic designer. So I moved here and I thought, are you actually mad? Trying to be a graphic designer in Cape Town, you don't have the qualifications, no official qualification. And Cape Town is full of graphic designers. How do you think you're going to survive here? But it turned out that I was just like 3 months unemployed. And then the German school in Cape Town contacted me and said, well, they need somebody for graphic design. I've been a teacher before. I've been a deputy principal before. So I know school. I know the whole school background. I know parents. I know the German school system, the South African system, and I work as a graphic designer. So I started as their graphic designer. Only 4 hours a day, and then in the afternoon I had private clients, still from Namibia, and then I slowly started with the idea of Love Your Nuts because I wanted to do something for male cancer. Being a survivor, when I had it in 1995, there was no internet, definitely not in Namibia, no support groups that you can chat to on social media. The information on testicular cancer was very limited. And the most important thing for me was I couldn't find somebody else who had the cancer. Just to talk to somebody who's been through it, to share your fears and your thoughts with somebody that had it, that survived it. And I couldn't find anybody. And then I started writing letters to a friend in Germany. And I realized that writing actually helps me. So it's like laying it off, all your fears, your thoughts are on paper. And every time I felt better afterwards. And at the end of the day, these letters, I actually summarized them and then used that skeleton and created the book. I've written the book in German, and that was published 2004 in Germany. And then when I moved here to Cape Town, obviously my friends are more English and Afrikaans speaking, so they say, get it translated, we like to read it as well. So instead of going on a holiday, I used that money that year and got it translated. And the English book is called Love Your Nuts, Testicular Cancer Touched My Life. Wow. And with that book, I started a Facebook page with cheeky comments about testicular cancer and quotes out of my book. And suddenly companies contacted me and said, we've got a men's health day. Do you give talks? And I thought, okay, I've been a teacher before. Yep. I'm not scared to talk about what happened to me. I don't find it embarrassing. So I started giving talks, and then I thought of, if I start an organization like Love Your Nuts is at the moment, there must be a purpose that you raise funds for. Otherwise, nobody's going to donate money because there must be a goal that you have. And then I was in touch with somebody in the US, and they've got a cancer school program where kids learn, where can I find help if I'm diagnosed? How can I support family members or friends? And what can I do in my community for charity? And it doesn't have to be cancer charity. It could be anything. It could be volunteer for some other charity. So I've got the permission for that program, and I adapted it to that it fits into South African environment. I always say it's not New York and San Francisco anymore. That the South African version is Kamsta and Khayelitsha. So it fits into our environment. The American version's got video clips of children telling their cancer journey, talking about their cancer journey. So I found South African children who were willing to share their stories. And I've got 3 video clips about children here in South Africa sharing their cancer story. So these clips fit in with the cancer program. And then it slowly, it actually exploded more than I thought it will be. Because I've started on social media, then you post things and suddenly it just took off. And officially I started 2014 with Love Your Nuts, and 2017 I was invited as a guest speaker at the Testicular Cancer World Summit in Denver in the US. And that is just social media. So social media has got 2 sides. You can either use it for something very positive, or it can be very destructive too. Yeah, that is Love Your Nuts in a nutshell, more or less. And then I found, you have to find ways to raise money, to get the attention. And that's why I use the word Love Your Nuts, and because it's for men, or for people, they think, oh, what's this about? It draws attention because it's cheeky. And then if they come closer to the logo, they read in small print underneath, testicle cancer education in a nutshell, because they thought they're looking at something else. And we're going to be a nice website they look at if they think of Love Your Nuts, but then suddenly it's testicle cancer. So then I decided I like to challenge men, because we don't talk about our emotions easily. We don't share things. If I compare it with women, if you compare it with breast cancer campaigns, there are a lot of breast cancer campaigns. Women are way more open about talking about their problems that they have. So we'll easily find 2 ladies sitting in a cafe, and then they share their thoughts, their feelings with each other. And they will easily say, well, I feel there's a lump. Do you think I should go and see the doctor? But you won't find 2 guys sitting at the bar where the one to the other, I feel a lump there on my ball. Should I go to the doctor? It's not going to happen.
Sorry, I know it's not funny, but I hear you. I just,
it's not going to happen. And that is actually the reason why you find, for me, it's the reason that you find way more female campaigns or female cancer campaigns. And men easily run in pink for breast cancer, but it's very difficult to get them to run in blue for their own cancers. It's quite weird how our mind works. I don't know why, but it's quite difficult. So I thought I have to challenge them. There are always guys out there that like to be challenged, and they love to be cheeky. So I've got these speedos where the Love Your Nuts logo is right on your balls. And I challenge guys to run marathons and this, and it picked up, and they raised quite a lot of money, and they draw attention. If somebody runs Comrades or Two Oceans Marathon in a speedo, the people take photos like mad, and they share it on social media.
I've seen.
Because it's not usual that you run in a speedo, and then on top of that it says Love Your Nuts on your balls. So it's like a thing that people don't see that often. That's why it draws attention. And I've got a case where somebody contacted me and said, because of that photo that you've posted of the 2 guys running in speedo, he actually went to my Facebook page and then to my website where there's a video clip how to check. And then he contacted me and said, thanks for that Facebook post. I've got testicular cancer and I detected it early. So it's a Facebook post that saved a life.
Wow. That's amazing. So Torsten, sorry, Björn, I just want to ask, in terms of having this conversation, I mean, this has been a story, as you shared now, it's been happening for you're on this journey for some time now. But what do you think why do you think it's important to have these conversations? And why do you think it's, I mean, the obvious nature of it is like, you obviously need to check yourself but do you think there's a stigma that men have about speaking about their bodies, or what potentially could be wrong with it?
I think, and it's worldwide, that men don't talk about their private parts if it comes to health issues, or not easily. You can compare it, you will find prostate cancer campaigns, you will find them more than testicle cancer campaigns. Prostate cancer is older guys getting prostate cancer. So a guy in his 50s or 60s or 70s, he's comfy with who he is and where he is in life, and he easily going to say, well, I've got prostate cancer. But if you're 15 or 18 or 22 and you lose one ball to cancer, it feels like half your manhood is taken away. You won't easily share it with your friends at school because you're scared they're going to mock you. It's that manly thing. I think it's that manly thing that I'm a man, and if I lose one testicle, then I'm just half a man, kind of thing. That's why men don't talk about these things. And I picked it up because I couldn't find anybody else who had it, and there must be others in Namibia who had it in 1995, but I couldn't find them because they don't talk about this. And I think, well, my theory is it's not proven scientifically, but my theory is if a woman gives birth to a child, she can't do it on her own. So a woman, to become a mother, she needs assistance in any culture. Either it's other ladies helping, or a doctor, or nurses, or whatever. She's got an assistance. So, and from a young age, women know this unconsciously. I think it's in the genes that they know I have to open up in front of others, and it's not embarrassing because I'm giving birth. So if you take men, a man can become a father without anybody have seen him naked. It could happen in the pitch dark. So he doesn't have to talk about these topics.
Wow.
But that is my theory. So we don't have to talk openly about this because we don't have this situation someday where others have to help us in that really private environment kind of thing where I give birth. And that's why I think women are more open to this. That's why they discuss it, because they help each other in that way. But that is my theory.
Oh, that's Torsten, like, you know, I think that you've just raised a very interesting comment, because what you said, just, I mean, I've never thought of it like that. But the other element, which I think is so true, I mean, I just think, you know, at schools, and I mean, I understand the element of protection, but, you know, there's a thing of like, well, go and change in the corner, and you change your clothing, and people mustn't see and mustn't look. And if you look, it's like, why are you looking? Where it's kind of natural. People make it, you look. But I think that's where the shame comes in from and I'm thinking about just a show I heard this morning on the radio, where actually there's an element of like, you need to do everything in secret. So you are right, guys, don't talk about testicular cancer, because it's like, are you not a man then? You know, that, because, you know,
and a lot of them don't talk about this because they don't know that it exists. Nobody knows that testicular cancer is most common in the age group 15 to 40. No 15-year-old will Google testicular cancer just to find something about it. They don't know these things. That's why I use that school program. I always say, if I can reach every man on this planet at the age of 11 and teach him to check his nuts once a month, then nobody will die of testicular cancer anymore. That there will be still testicular cancer, but it will be early detected. Because as soon as guys know, they will check. I saw it with the students that I had every year when I told them, they go home and they check. Because it's that, if you think how important the nuts are for men, you get all these sayings, grow a pair, have some balls, or don't you have balls, kind of thing. It all refers to that, my crown jewels. So it's so important. So they know they can get cancer there, they definitely got to check. And in the UK, the statistics are 96% survival rate.
Wow.
And the 4% that die is actually for two reasons only. And the one reason is boys in puberty, because the body changes, they feel there's a lump on the nuts, but they don't see that it's cancer because they don't know. First of all, they don't know it could be cancer. And because the body changes during puberty, they think it's part of the change that's happening. So they don't see it as something foreign, because at the beginning, testicular cancer is not painful. I didn't have any pain. I could feel the lump, but it was no pain. It starts getting painful as soon as it starts spreading. But at the beginning, it's not pain. And the second reason men die is actually men that find it too embarrassing to go to the doctor. They feel there's something wrong, but they find it too embarrassing to go to the doctor because they know the doctor is going to touch them there, and then they don't go. So at the end of the day, they die of embarrassment, which is like stupid. But that's actually the only two reasons why men die of testicular cancer. And it's a very curable cancer. So if it's early detected, you've got a good chances of life. Very good chance.
Torsten, in terms of writing your book, what made you decide to write your book? What was there, just an element of sharing your story, or was there another purpose kind of practice?
As I said, I wrote letters to a friend in Germany and realized if I write the things down, I feel better. It's like laying these ideas and things off on paper. And when I resigned as a teacher, after the cancer, I had the cancer in 95. In 96, I was depressed because constantly the fear, the cancer returns, life didn't make sense anymore. I had thoughts like, well, if I die now, so what? There's another biology teacher that can teach the kids kind of thing. So I didn't enjoy teaching anymore. And then I decided I have to do something for myself because I'm not the teacher that I'm used to be. And the kids picked that up because they were joking about things. And I always joked with them. And suddenly I couldn't handle these jokes anymore. And they thought, oh, what's happening now? Because then I realized I've changed and I need help. So I resigned. And before I resigned at the school, the colleagues there said, why are you going? You've got a nice job here. I was in charge of the boarding school as well, blah, blah, blah. And then I said to them, well, it's the picture is bigger than I'm a happy chappy kind of thing. Yeah. So I took these letters and made a summary. It was like 6 A4 pages. And 14 days before I left copies in the staff room in the school and said to the colleagues, I know a lot of you don't understand why I'm leaving, but if you'd like to see a little bit what's going on inside of me, read this. And obviously all of them read this. And a lot of them then came to me and said, if you read these 6 pages, you actually like to know everything. And then I used these 6 pages and I sat down with a box of tissues and I wrote day and night, and was my therapy at the end of the day. And that's how the book was created. So I had written it chronologically, how it happened, and then. So, and I left it there. So I went backpacking for 2 years to come to rest with cancer. And when I returned, I started teaching at a different school again, and a colleague started there as well. She came from Berlin. And we had a conversation, and I told her that I had cancer. And then she said, well, she's got a company, or she knows a mother of a child that she had and when she was still working in Berlin. That lady runs a company like ghostwriters kind of thing. You can tell them the story and they write for you and they edit it in the book form. So I've submitted my text and I thought, okay, let me see if they like it. And then they came back and say, well, it's very authentic, and they suggested this and that, putting it into chapters. And they make sure it stays your story. It stays the way you write and speak. So that was the German version. And the only thing that they changed, because they asked me, what do you want to do with the book? And I said to them, I like to raise awareness, and I like to encourage other men not to give up if they've got cancer, because I'm a living example that I survived it. So the only thing that they did, they put the end of my story at the beginning. The book is actually a flashback. So the book starts where I leave the cancer clinic after 7 years of going for checkups, and the doctor told me you don't have to come back again. And so a cancer patient that reads my book, he reads on the first page, this guy survived. Because if you've got cancer, you don't want to read a cancer story where somebody's dying, because that's
I got it. So you want to get the attention that this is hope, and now let's get into the meat.
Give them hope. This guy survived. What did he do to survive? So like encouraging not to give up. That's the only thing that they've changed in the book. So I never sat actually down and say, I'm going to write a book now. So it was my feelings on paper, and it was a Word document for years on my computer still. When up to that time I met that lady that had that connection with Berlin. And that was in 2003, 2004.
Cool. And Torsten, where would someone get a copy of this book?
The English version is on Amazon, but if you're in South Africa, and you can order directly from me because I've got copies here. If you order from Amazon abroad, it's shipment and everything, then the book is really expensive. But I've got copies in Cape Town. So via my website, there's an online shop as well where they can order the book. And they can leave a comment. I gladly sign them the book if it's for somebody. That I often get people buy the book for somebody who's just been diagnosed, and then I put a personal note.
Nice.
To encourage them not to give up.
Awesome. Keva, you okay?
Yeah, I'm just I've got someone cutting grass here, which is so annoying. Sorry.
Oh, but we don't hear him.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to try and get this question in quickly. In terms of protecting ourselves and what we can start, I mean, obviously do your self-inspection. How do we educate ourselves even more? How do we get to know more about how to do this more effectively? And how do we look after ourselves a little bit better?
I think it's quite difficult. For me, I've changed my lifestyle, my eating habits. Not drastically. Oh, well, I changed it at the beginning, definitely a lot. When I was diagnosed, I felt like I just have to drink fresh juices and all kinds of these things, which I did, because you try everything because you don't want to die. You're going to do anything, but you would like to survive this. Because at the beginning, you don't know where you stand. For me, it was like, do I have 6 months? Do I have 6 weeks? Where do I stand? Even if the doctor said it didn't spread, it's like if somebody's just saying to you, you've got cancer, it sounds like a death sentence. Because we always hear only about people who die. So it happened often to me that somebody says, when I mention I had cancer, they will easily say, my granny had it, my uncle had it, I've got a friend who had it. But none of them will say, my uncle survived it, my aunt survived it, my brother survived it. They don't talk about the survivors. They talk about people who die. And there are a lot of survivors. But we obviously think about the people who passed away. And that's why cancer sounds like a death sentence immediately if you hear you've got cancer. Because you see and hear only the dead, the people that passed away. But there are a lot of survivors. And I'm one of them who talk about that I survived it. But there's a lot of cancer patients or cancer survivors. For them, their cancer journey was very dark, and they closed that chapter and they don't talk about this anymore. So there are a lot of them around, but they don't bring it up because they say to boss, I'm glad I've survived this. I don't want to talk about this anymore. It was very negative in my life. So they closed that chapter. They don't talk. As I said at the beginning, you try everything, and then later I realized, look, I actually drive myself mad with that cancer thought, because I don't want to open my fridge and think, okay, I can't eat this because I can get cancer, blah blah blah. I try to live a balanced life, so I started working out, and I eat what I like. So if I crave a pizza, then I have a pizza. But if I crave a pizza every day, then it's a problem. So it's like finding a balance in these things. And I think that changed my life. And healthy eating or healthy living is actually, unfortunately, quite expensive. So for a lot of people, they would love to do this, but they buy some of the stuff, but they can't just live the perfect healthy life. It's just too expensive. And if they made aware of what an impact does it have to live healthy, they most probably will change it. It's at the end of the day, it's education for me. Because if you don't know these things, how you will change it. It's like with everything.
What I'm sorry, but like one thing that's just occurred to me, and I don't know why I've never thought about, but you mentioned being a survivor, and you've survived. that conversation, I think it's, people want to hear that people can survive, and I think that's also why it makes it so important for people to have to talk about it. It's not a comfortable conversation, and it's not maybe loving your nuts is not something that we generally have at table discussions, but essentially, when you've heard,
maybe we should.
And maybe we should, maybe there's an awareness that should be raised in men as a whole, as a general consensus that do we love our nuts enough to talk about it, and do we care to talk to people who have actually come out on the other side and go, as much as you avoiding it, people have survived this, and that's important.
And that's why I like to focus on the schools. For example, if there's a school hall full of kids and a doctor or a nurse stands there and tell these kids, you have to check women for breast cancer, search for lumps once a month, boys, search your balls for lumps once a month. They will see it as, okay, it's a doctor, it's a nurse talking to us. But if there's a guy or a lady stands in front of kids and said, I had breast cancer, I lost one breast, or a guy, I've lost one more, but I'm here because I checked. It's way more authentic, and these kids are going to remember this person because he survived. It's got a bigger impact than a professional standing there. Because we often say, oh, they studied that, but suddenly there's somebody who's been through this and telling the story. And that changes a lot of things. And in my talks, I mention that how I changed my eating habits, that when I moved to Cape Town, because life is here, lovely wine and food, and compared to Windhoek, way more. So I picked up weight like mad at the beginning when I moved here in 2007. In 2008, I decided I have to do something. Being a teacher before, so you're more active walking around. Suddenly I was a graphic designer. So you sit and eat, and in the evening you go out to the nice restaurants in Cape Town and have wine and things. And if you don't exercise, I was over 100 kilos, and then I decided to start running. And in 2008, I lost 13 kilos. And 4 years later, I finished Comrades. So within 4 years, from a couch potato to a Comrades runner. And I think it's often cancer behind this thought. Cancer taught me to live now. That's really suddenly, because at the age of 30, if somebody tells you you've got cancer, it sounds like, here's your death certificate. Look me into the eyes.
Yeah.
And you start living, because we often think, okay, one day I'm going to do this. You never know if this one day is going to come. At the age of 30, I heard, well, it could be over tomorrow.
Sure. And Torsten, I have to agree. That's true, exactly what you say, because I met you, I think, when you were like 4 years before you did the Comrades, I think at that point, because I connected with you at the gym and you were working out and was chatting and blah, blah, blah. And wow, look at it, over a decade later. I've got to love it. Well done. So
it changed a lot. And then with the cancer program that we've got for the schools, what we're planning at the moment, because of Zoom meetings and things like this. And at the moment, Love Your Nuts, I can't go to schools, obviously. They don't allow me there. And we don't know how long it's going to take. The cancer school program that we've got is difficult if the logistics are difficult to get it to the schools. And if you think nationwide, to get it in the most remote school in the rural area is quite difficult to get it there. And sponsors that sponsor these things, they like to know the impact that it had, their money.
Yeah, sure.
How much difference that their money made. So it's difficult to measure this if I give it to the schools. Do they really use it? I have to go back a year later and see, have the teachers really used that program? Because it's not part of the syllabi. That's why we want to go more in a digital way and make it a game. It's actually a mobile game where kids, they start in the heart, and then they float through their body and they search for bad cells. And then they've got energy bombs, bad cells being the cancer cells. And then they've got energy bombs, and then they destroy these bad cells. But to get the energy bombs, there are certain challenges, and that is actually part of the cancer school program. The questions that they normally would answer on a worksheet that they take home kind of thing is going to be in a game. And that is easier to distribute. People can download it. You can trace how many people are using it. because the network grows, more and more smartphones, the reach is wider, and it's traceable. You can say to somebody who donated, or a company donated, say, okay, 3 million South Africans have downloaded this app, they're using it at school, kind of thing. So that's where we're heading at the moment.
That's incredible. Torsten, I'm just on your website now, and I'm just having a look at some of your stuff. It's on www.loveyourknots.org. And I see there's a lot of partnership opportunities as individual, upcoming events, et cetera, et cetera. So in terms of if people want to get involved with your organization, whether someone is just passionate because, you know, they survived cancer themselves or they know someone who did, how would they get involved with your organization, you know, in any regard, other than just donating money? So can you just tell us a little bit about that as we start wrapping up?
Yeah, there are different options. So as an individual, like these guys running in Speedos or hiking up Lion's Head as often as possible, they've got their fundraiser pages and they raise funds for Love Your Nuts. And another option is companies that like to partner. At the moment, I've got a brewery for this month. I share stuff. I share their competition on my website or on my social media. People get a discount, and if they shop online there in the brewery online shop, they can donate before checkout, and the brewery gonna match this amount, which will be a donation for Love Your Nuts. So I like to partner with companies, or I've got another example. It's a hockey team in Durban. They play, it's men, it's 50-55. They play in Love Your Nuts wear. They started a fundraiser, and they've got the aim to raise funds that the kids, that schools in the Durban area get the cancer education, that I go there and give a talk. So I like the idea of, if you in PE or in Bloemfontein or in Joburg and you like to do something in your community, then it's easier to fundraise there, because the money, the people see, if I give money here, that comes back to my kid here at school. Then I don't have to tell them the embarrassing story about checking their nuts. So it's like giving back. So they can start a fundraiser in their town and say, oh, a running club or whatever, and say, well, we like to do this. Let's raise funds, and we get this guy here, and he goes to all the schools in our town or city or whatever. Another partnership would be like the mobile app. I would actually love to have a profit sharing company to get in, that it's profit sharing, because developing an app, if a company does it and maybe they close down or whatever, who's going to update this? So if I can, or if Love Your Nuts can partner with an IT company or with a medical aid or life insurance company, and part of their profit out of that app goes to them, and it's their project, then it's ongoing. Then you can update it with new questions. You can change it because there are new statistics in cancer. You can update it all the time. So you've got a version of an education program that is always up to date, compared to the printed version that I've got at the moment. By the time it's in the most remote school, it's most probably outdated. So these are the options where people can partner. It's not always about money. It's also because they partner, and then it's awareness. If I take the brewery, they're doing a lot. I saw how many people contacted me because of that, because they see what they're doing. So it's raising awareness, and brands that are typical male. It's like beer. Men drink beer. So it's good to partner with something like this. Or even better would be condom producing companies, or shaving cream, or something like this. A product that a guy takes in his hand is the shaving cream, and there's a little logo on there. Have you checked your nuts today? That's something good. And then both benefit, the company and Love Your Nuts.
So Torsten, you know, the subject matter, I think many people often have this conversation, and they feel that it may be a heavy subject matter, but essentially, you know, you come across as someone who's quite lighthearted about it, and quite, you know, the fact that you on the other side of this, and you've championed this initiative, and you have this organization now. What do you think motivates you to like get up and go and just do more for the world and make that impact in the world around you?
Yeah. The WhatsApps, a part that I didn't mention yet is we do support as well. So that what I missed way back, or what I felt I needed in 1995, is talking to somebody who's been there. So I've got a bunch of testicular cancer survivors who are willing to talk to patients at the moment. So often guys contact me and said, I've just been diagnosed. What now? What must I do? Because you're scared, because you don't know what's going to happen. So then I just have a normal conversation with them, and they can ask me anything, because as a cancer patient, you've got thoughts that you don't want to share with your family and friends because you think death. And what can they say? They don't want to lose you. They don't have an answer either. But if you talk to a survivor, it makes it way easier because he's been there and you see somebody who survived it. So I support cancer patients emotionally on their roller coaster. So no financially support, it's just emotional support. So if they're based in Cape Town, we go for a coffee or a beer or whatever. Otherwise, it's mainly on WhatsApp or phone calls and things. And then I get WhatsApps if they've been through everything, and they say thank you for what you've done to me, and that keeps me going.
Amazing. Love it.
That's such a wonderful conversation. I'm so glad that you could join us today and share this with us.
Yeah, well, that's my job. I say life often gives you lemons and then try to make lemonade, and I think that's what I've done with my cancer. So I had it, that was a sour experience, but today it's sweet because I can help others.
It's so inspiring, and thank you for being able to share this and being that person in the world. I think so many people should be able to do that, and you're such a wonderful example of someone creating, such a complete success out of something most people don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
So well done.
Thank you.
And so in terms of what's coming up for the rest of the month, I know we are having Movember in aim of supporting, cancer awareness.
Yes.
I have not decided to do this. So don't you want to tell us more about what's coming up, Björn?
Yes. So super excited. I was all confirmed this morning in writing, and these are very important moments when you have it in writing. So our final guest that we are ending November with, and for the people who are listening, our biggest thing has been that we wanted to just highlight that cancer is not the end of your life, because the reality is just, when you get cancer, it doesn't mean you're stopping a dad, you're stopping a mom, you're stopping a partner, you're stopping and you still fulfill different roles. You might not feel like it, but there's still a role expectation. And this particular person we have next month, he is a friend of mine. I have seen him when he's been not at the highest of his moments, and he has gone through cancer, and it's been a tough one. And he's also Mr. Gay SA, Charles Jaquardo van Houstingen. So he's going to be on our show this week. So excited. His PR approved it, and she's excited, and we're excited, and I'm excited, and I hope you're excited, and I hope everybody's excited, because he's one of those really powerful people that has a great story with a lot of passion for life. And yeah, it's super
and next week we're also celebrating someone's birthday apparently on that day. So, so we'll see what happens as well, right?
Where do I look? I'll look at the champagne. How's that? I'll get that ready. Yes.
Yeah, so,
I'm excited. A week to go. Counting it down.
Just a quick reminder before we end off today. Just remind everyone where we get hold of you.
Me or Torsten?
Yes, Björn, yes, you.
Sorry. Very easy. Just going to social media at BJORNSALSONE, Björn Salsone, and you will find me. I'm there. You will just see it all. And Kev, where do we get hold of you?
Same with me. Just type my name into Google or leadershipbydesign.co, just CO, and you'll find out more about what I do and how I keep myself busy. And just to end off today's session, Torsten Koehler from Love Your Nuts, just remind us about that book, your website, and that WhatsApp. How do we get hold of all of that?
Yeah. It's quite easy to find Love Your Nuts. I always say if you Google Love Your Nuts, it appears on the first page more than once. So even Google loves my nuts. They put it on the first page. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the handle of all three is Love Your Nuts, written as one word. And the email address on my website is talkballs@loveyournut.com. It goes into my mailbox. Nobody else reads it, so people are welcome to send me questions if they've got fears or something. I often get these emails at night between 11 and 3 o'clock, because then guys feel something, they're scared, and then they find me. So that's where you can find me. Google Love Your Nuts, you will find me.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us for Lunchtime Marketing today. It was a wonderful conversation. Thank you for making.
Thank you for having me. Thanks a lot.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks all.
Yeah, we'll chat to you soon. Have a fantastic day. Thank you, guys.
You too.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.